And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. If you didn't know, this is the only podcast on the website, sequelscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Been 2 weeks. Been a long time since I've recorded the podcast. Only thing I can say is that I got a little part-time job. Not in my field, not in any field that any person aimed. If you have good audio, you can probably hear my television in the background. I am recording this. If you're watching the video, you can see I'm recording this in my closet. It's the only place I can record this stupid freaking show anymore. Okay, let's get on with this. Let's do this thing that we have been meant to do for the past 2 weeks. I have a whole bunch of things that I wanted to talk about last week, but I just didn't get a chance to because I had to do this little job thingy. It's not a fun job. But yeah, I'm in my closet. I'm standing up, and I'm not even sitting down. So let's run through. So I'm going to record 2 episodes in a row. And one episode's just going to be what I think is the short stories. And then the other episode is going to be everything else, the last 4 or 5 things that I wanted to talk about originally. All right, so let's get to it. These are, and keep in mind, these were all stories from last week that I really wanted to cover last week. So there's that. Let's start with movies. First run movies. You can get first run movies in your home for $3,000. Big thing. Movies that has been an issue where there have been some companies that want to sell you your own personal movie theater, not movie theater, but the license to be able to play movies like your Captain Marvels, your Avengers, your Christopher Robins, all these movies. I don't know why I chose 3 Disney movies, but they give you these chances to do this. But now this company, and they originally, I think the prices were like, upwards of $5,000, maybe even $7,000. But the issues with that is that people, they invite their friends over. They might pirate the movies. There's a whole issue there. But this TV is so loud, and I turned it down. It was because I also have a sound bar. Because I don't skimp on the sound, baby. I don't skimp on the sound. I was watching The Book of Eli last night, and it's on HBO. And it was my first time seeing it, and I thought it was great. But there's issues where one of my problems with the movie is that it gets really quiet during the talking scenes, and Denzel is basically almost whispering, and then when it goes to the fighting scenes, everything's loud, so the sound mixing is a little off. I've found an issue with that for a lot of movies. And maybe they're mastered in Dolby, and maybe in surround sound, and some type of HDR surround sound or whatever the kids are playing with today's, and but in terms of my TV is on soundbar mode, my soundbar is on regular, it has the bass boosted. That might be an issue, and I put it in theater mode sometimes so I can get the full experience. But that's it. Any hoosers, let's get back to what this is. So this is from Engadget, written by Jesus. There's a bunch of papers from my job, my part-time job that I have here, like a note. I have 2 notebooks from this place. I have cards and all this other stuff. I hate it so much. Any hoosers, Red Carpet Films offers first-run movie rentals for $3,000. This comes from Christine Fisher from Engadget. Like I said, Red Carpet Film, like the title says, headline says, Red Carpet Films, they're going to offer you movies to rent. And you don't own these movies. You rent them, $3,000, because you don't want to see Detective Pikachu in the theater. Go drive down the street. If you have that much money, you can just drive down the street. Okay. For $1,500 to $3,000, Red Carpet Films allows customers with a minimum credit card limit of $50,000 to watch movies like Shazam and Godzilla King of Monsters as soon as they hit theaters. The rentals are good for 2 viewings in a 36-hour period, though customers have to clear a rigorous application process and buy a $15,000 box that connects to the home theater system and comes with piracy safeguards. So the only true way, if you really wanted to pirate a movie this way, is to spend upwards of $18,000, maybe even $20,000, close to $20,000, because you also have to have a home theater. Yeah, like I couldn't, even if I had that much money at a credit limit of $50,000, which I don't. But even if I did, but I also just had my one TV out there with a sound bar, it wouldn't work. It would have to be hooked up to whatever LG projector I have in my home, and then the box has to connect to the internet. Always has a connection to the internet. But this has happened before, like I said. In 2013, Primal Cinema Player began offering first-run films, but had a $35,000 setup fee. Crazy. Studios like Warner Brothers have considered offering early movie rentals for $50 to $30. That's an odd way to go. Even Apple toyed with the idea. But that was a very interesting story that I thought. Even like this keeps coming back up. People get mad about, having to. I mean, I don't like dealing with people. Other people hate having to drive to a theater and spending $20 on tickets. For that, I say stop going Saturday nights. Just go Saturday during the day. It'll be $11. There's plenty. First of all, and people complain. People complain about going to these movies. There's plenty of theaters. In Atlanta, in Metro Atlanta, there are plenty of theaters to go to where tickets are at most $11. And I live right down the street from this art theater next to Trader Joe's. I'm forgetting the name of it because I got Landmark Theater in Old Fourth Ward. It's $11 at most, at least $9. It's crazy. $11 is great. The theater I used to live in the suburbs of Atlanta. The theater I went to up there, Aurora Cineplex, which I love to death so much, I want to invest money into it. That is between $6 and $9 at most. If you want to deal with, if you want to deal with people, North DeKalb Mall, $5. Let's see, and then if you want to go to Atlantic, that's $18 at least, but whatever. So anyway, you just can't complain about things like that when there's so many avenues. Just look. Stop going to AMC, even though I like AMC, but stop going to AMC. Next up, this is from Billboard, written by Chris Egerton. Digital music consumption has led to increase in greenhouse gas emissions. A new study finds. So I'm not going to go over the entire thing, but basically what it is that with the, we thought that lessening listening to CDs would, stop creating so much plastic and trash in the air and all this stuff. Trash in the air. They researchers have found that, despite a sharp drop in use of plastics in music production over the last 2 decades, the, quote, storing and transmitting of digital music files has actually led to an increase in greenhouse gas emissions by the industry. You can hear the Property Brothers going on in the background, so I'm going to try to talk over them. But there's a reason I have my TV playing. Anyway, it's to muffle the sounds of me. That's why I'm in the closet, to muffle the sounds of me doing the show when there are people here. While the recording industry's annual use of plastics decreased from 61 million kilograms to around 8 million kilograms between the years of 2000 and 2016, the rise of downloading and streaming has actually led to a significant increase in blah, 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 blah. Those figures were reached by translating the production of plastics and the generation of electricity for storing and transmitting digital audio files into greenhouse gas equivalents. So what they did was you stream a CD 1,000 times, and they're taking that and saying the electricity that you used is killing the environment. Interesting article. You should definitely read it. They talk about vinyl. They talk about how vinyl affected the what's it called? The environment, all this other stuff. Really great article. Definitely check it out. Next up, Ron Funch. Oh boy, I don't know if I want to save that. Anyway. Ron Funches takes on Netflix specials. This is from the Daily Beast. They have a new podcast over there called The Last Laugh. And Ron Funches, you probably already heard this story, had turned down a Netflix special. They were going to offer him 30 minutes when Comedy Central offered him an hour, and for, more money too as well. You do an hour, you get more money. But the idea is that he doesn't like it because Netflix is giving everybody everything, but they didn't offer him, and they don't offer a lot of people of his caliber an hour because they don't see him as, quote, an hour comedian. Yeah, they didn't see me as an hour comedian at the time. And he disagreed. I disagree. A lot of people disagree. I know I'm saying this because I interviewed him, but He's a very funny person. There's a lot of people I think that could do an hour when Netflix is giving out these hours left and right like candy. Funches says, this comes from the Daily Beast, written by, I gotta get his names out here, Matt Wilstein. I think it's important to name the people. You can hear, in Old Fourth Ward, there are people that drive around, and there are R-types, and there are little race cars, and they rev their engines up and down the street, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, all manners of the day, all manners of the night. And it's annoying, and I hate it, and that is also another reason why I have to record at certain times and shoot news time at certain times. Okay, Funches says Netflix tried to convince him by saying they, quote, get more engagement on half hours due to viewers' shorter attention spans. This is Ron talking. What I did enjoy was them trying to sell me on a half hour that they are trying to tell me what comedy is, that people don't watch hours anymore. And I was like, then why are you making them? Why are the big contracts you're giving going out to the people with hours? Which is insane. And also, I just read today, actually, I just saw the article emailed to me. If you want to email me at cpluscomedy@gmail.com. I saw the article emailed to me. And it was Beyonce's new deal with Netflix. She just released a surprise documentary, music documentary about her Coachella performance last year. And I want to stop here. It was also so Netflix gave her $60 million for a 3-project deal that includes Homecoming. One of my issues is last year when Coachella was airing its shows on YouTube, I knew something was going on because there was a difference between the Future set and everybody else. Future and all these other performers, they perform at Coachella, and this is their third year live streaming it. Oh, it ended by this time, but this is their third year live streaming it, and you can see Future, Rihanna, Childish Gambino, all these people perform their music. You can see it, okay? You can see the different cameras, and there's maybe 3, 4, or 5 cameras. Beyonce's had like 17, and there was a follow cam for her. Even I know she was moving around and stuff, but she had like a team. She had a backup squad, backup dancers of maybe 40 to 50 people. There were too many cameras for that to be a Coachella performance. So obviously she was recording something. Same thing is, I was also saying this myself, Taylor Swift's Reputation tour that came out on Netflix on January 1st. If I was at that last concert where she recorded at, I would have thought, and I saw all these cameras, I would have gone, oh, she's definitely recording for something. At one of the Hamilton performances, one of the last ones with the original cast members, Lynn and Leslie Odom Jr. and Daveed Diggs and Renee, all those other people. I have a bone to pick with Hamilton, and it's fans. It's white fans, well, mostly white fans, all white fans. But there were cameras at that performance. Obviously, they're recording it and they're going to sell it at some point, but we just don't know when. Definitely check that out. Ron Funches talks about that. And it's true. Netflix gives these hours to everybody who already have hours, and they give money to Seinfeld, Amy Schumer, Kevin Hart, all these other people have obviously their biggest names. They can get hours anywhere. Amy's had an hour on HBO. Kevin has sold movies twice, just like Eddie Murphy, twice. But no one will be as big as Eddie Murphy at that height. I don't think yes, obviously Kevin can sell out Madison Square Gardens and all these other arenas and all this stuff, but there's no way that there's not going to be another stand-up movie that's going to be like Raw or Delirious. I love both of them. And yes, I'll translate. It's a little harsh for today's climate. Next up, Hasan Minhaj is doing more investigative journalism with Patriot Act. Patriot Act, Hasan Minhaj's essentially Daily Show thing, but they're on a hiatus right now. I believe. I haven't watched it in a couple weeks. Also, I didn't have Netflix for like 2 weeks because I couldn't afford to pay for it. That's how broke it was. That's why I took this part-time job. Well, I wish I was kidding. But yeah. So now, when they come back, they're going to be more investigative. They're going to have different correspondence, kind of like Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. This comes from IndieWire. Libby Hill. Patriot Act with Hasan Minhaj will move further into investigative journalism. This is, and also he announces at the April 6th Emmys for Consideration event. Very big issue because this is 14 days later, 2 weeks later. Exactly. This is from Minhaj. Going forward, we're going to start breaking long lead investigative reports that we're providing all footage and sources for. I'm really excited to do that. The comedian describes the series as an investigative visual comedic podcast and performs each episode on an EDM-inspired set, complete with huge video screens and floor graphics. It's been really cool to see the variety talk genre continue to expand. The Daily Show alum and observation that should give the Television Academy pause. Yeah, because there are so many different versions of them. Obviously, John Oliver is just take one story and run with it. Daily Show is your basically national news version of it. Full Frontal and Hasan Minhaj's show, Patriot Act, those are both deep dives into stories. And then, actually, I think that's all of them. Isn't that all of them? I can't imagine anymore, right? Any Hoosers, very interesting to see where he wants to go and do things and do different things because his Netflix show is pretty tiring and it's pretty loud too. He's forcing the jokes a little bit is one of my biggest issues. All right, I got a couple more minutes here. This comes from Deadline. This next story. FX gets off-network rights to Family Guy and Bob's Burgers. I just want to run over this really quick. Of course, my friend Neil Andrew wrote this. So, just as The Simpsons is going... Dude, I'm really pissed off about this. So Disney Plus was announced, and their big get is The Simpsons. I was not going to subscribe to Disney Plus. I don't care what they had until they said The Simpsons is leaving FX now. Excuse me, they're not leaving FXX. They're leaving FX now, and they're going to go to Disney Plus. Disney, this sucks because Disney, them being a disruptor of the streaming world, they've already gotten $8 out of me. Because I have to watch The Simpsons. Now, this sucks. Also, because I guarantee that they're only going to have an app for their phones and the laptop and then the app, laptop. Yeah, that's it. The phone. Oh, and Roku. But they're not going to have Xbox apps, which sucks. Moving forward, I hope they do expand into Xbox and PlayStation apps. But the streaming thing sucks. Everybody's like, I don't want to watch commercials, but now everything's going to be splintered, and the only way to watch things is to pay a fee to a company that has their own. They have like 7 shows that they air, period. And it sucks. I don't like it. I hate the streaming thing. If I had the money, I would buy every episode or every season of The Simpsons, and then just watch it on Google Play or Amazon or wherever I bought it from. And even then, I wouldn't own it because it'd just be digitally. And then Google or Amazon or iTunes or Apple could say, hey, we're going to get out of the digital streaming game. And then they could just say, you don't get to keep any of that stuff. But now FX gets the off-network rights to Bob's Burgers and Family Guy. And FXX is going to share Family Guy with Freeform, which I guess makes sense. I don't know. But I do know that. So Family Guy is going to be coming to FXX on April 16th, airing 5 hours, 3 days a week. The Simpsons is on, I think, 5 days a week, 5 or 6 days a week. So I don't know. So I guess they're just going to get rid of one of those days with The Simpsons. That's too many hours for. First of all, I love The Simpsons. I think Family Guy is serviceable. That's too many hours for any of those shows, for either of those shows. On FXX, Family Guy will air Tuesday 9 to 11 p.m., Thursday 12 to 1, and Sunday 7 to 9, paired with The Simpsons, marking the first time the two classic animated comedies have aired off network together. And then starting in the fall, FXX will offer repeat episodes of all 3 long-running series on Fox's Sunday animated blocks, as FX Networks has also made an off-network deal for Bob's Burgers, starting with the current 9th season. Now, here's the thing. The older seasons of both Family Guy and Bob's Burgers will remain on Adult Swim and TBS for the time being. So FXX only gets the new episodes, the newer episodes of Bob's Burgers and Family Guy, which is very interesting to me. Very strange. Okay. As of the fall of 2019, FXX will be running seasons 16 and 17 of Family Guy, adding a new season every year and more hours a week until fall of 2021, when FXX will become the exclusive cable network home of all previous seasons of the irreverent comedy, with a carve-out for Freeform. Bob's Burgers' complete library will be controlled by FX starting a couple of years later. Oh, a couple of years. Anywho's, that is to say that by 2025 at least, 2023, all of the Fox's shows will be on FXX. Cartoon shows will be on FXX. I just want to announce that I don't like it. I hate it. All these things. Okay, suck. The last thing I want to talk about before we move on to the second episode that I will record today. Not taking any breaks. Gonna keep going. Future Man has his one last season on Hulu. Future Man is getting canceled by Hulu. Well, no, it's not getting canceled by Hulu. It's getting canceled by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. So they had a deal. They had a production deal with Sony, they had a deal with Sony. Sony Television, I believe. Now that their deal is running out, they're taking their deal from Sony over to Lionsgate, which means that they have to cancel their shows Preacher and Future Man. Those are both insanely good, amazing, funny, just irreverent. Oh, it's so irreverent. Such good shows that it sucks that these have to be canceled. But here they are, having to be canceled because of these deals. The Hollywood Reporter implies that the decision to end the show is related to executive producers Seth and Evan taking their development deal with Sony over to Lionsgate. Both produced by Sony TV, so blah. There we go. And that's it. That's all the episode. That's all I have to talk to you about. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com. There's some stuff. Head on over to the website, youtube.com/cpluscomedy to see a video version of this, as well as News Time, which is the premiere show for this network. Premiere show for youtube.com/cpluscomedy and for cpluscomedy.com in general. It's a great show, weekly news show. I don't know what last week's episode was about. Oh, it was about Instagram. It was about Instagram, and it was about Snapchat, but I shot everything like it was in Instagram. It was about Snapchat and how it's doing a little bit better. So yeah, I got to record another episode of this. Stay tuned to your podcast services. Thank you. I love you. Good night.